Time now for everybody's favorite guessing game, What's My Line? Brought to you by New Stopette, America's leading spray deodorant. Now with its anti-immunity factor. Poof! There goes perspiration. Now let's all play What's My Line?
Now let's meet our award-winning What's My Line panel. First, the popular columnist whose voice of Broadway appears in the New York Journal-American and papers coast to coast, Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
You've all heard Steve say good night, boys, time after time on this program, and we thought that you'd like to meet one of his boys. And so tonight, as a special treat, we have Steve's youngest son, Fred Allen.
Dorothy, that gives you an idea of what Steve's other boys look like. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the only lady in television who knows whatever became of Wendy Barry, Miss Arlene Francis.
Thank you, Fred.
Well, you know you won't tell.
That's my secret. And on my left, a gentleman who gives the inside story on the Atlantic City Miss America contest in the September issue of Esquire, Mr. Bennett Cerf.
Well, now that you've seen Steve Allen's offspring, Fred, I want to tell you that the gentleman on my left has also given birth recently to a very snazzy Austin Healey sports car, which he's going to kill himself in someday, sure. Our impeccable moderator, John Charles Davis.
Thanks for the good wishes, Bennett. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to What's My Line. It's nice to have you with us because we've got Fred Allen here to play our usual games with, and we think that we can give Fred more trouble perhaps than he's counting on, together with his other colleagues on the panel when our guests come in their interesting occupations. We'll also have a famous guest challenger a bit later on, but I think it's time for Fred Allen, all the other experts, to meet our first challenger whose job has to be spotted. Would you sign in, please, sir? Daniel James Jr. Would you tell us, first of all, where you're from, Mr. James?
Pensacola, Florida.
Pensacola, Florida. Well, you're a long way from home, and I hate to make you travel some more. But over there are 4 members of the panel. All of them feel they should get a chance to get a close look at you. So would you walk over that way for me, please?
You're a big junior, Mr. James.
James.
Mr. James.
All right, now, Mr. James, over here, if you will, and sit down next to me. The panel gets one free guess. They've had a look at you, can see your handwriting, heard you speak, and we always begin our free guesses with Miss Dorothy Kilgallen.
I think he's an intern at the Pensacola Hospital.
An intern, Mr. Allen.
I think that Mr. James is a vice president in charge of pistachios with a chock full of nuts people.
Miss Francis.
I think that Mr. James is a physical education instructor.
Mr. Cerf.
I think Mr. James has something to do with the naval station down in Pensacola.
I'm afraid nobody has it right. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mr. Daniel James of Pensacola, Florida. At the same time, we'll tell them what his line is. All right, Mr. James, the panel has to dig. You know how we score this thing? If you give them a no answer, I flip a card. When we flip 10 cards, you won.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
Good deal. Mr. James is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
Do you work for a profit-making organization, Mr. James?
No.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. James, does that magnificent physique of yours stand you in good stead in what you do?
Yes.
Do you work for some kind of government?
Yes.
Was I anywhere near the right track when I guessed the Navy? Anywhere within
No.
fair range? No?
No, the Navy is not right. Nothing to do with the Navy. 2 down and 8 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, is the government branch that you work for national? Is it the
Yes.
federal government?
Yes.
Is it the executive branch that you work for?
Yes.
Do you wear anything that's different from what you're now wearing when you're in pursuit of your duties?
Yes.
Would it be termed a uniform?
Yes.
Do you work out of doors at all?
Yes.
Do you have anything to do with some natural phenomenon or park or playground or anything that, well, you know. Do you have anything to do with anything?
No.
Three
I'm
down.
really glad.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Allen.
Well, if you don't have anything to do with anything, Mr. James, you must be more or less inactive in government service now.
No, Fred, we don't want to mislead you. It doesn't have anything to do with the parks or a natural phenomenon.
Oh, I was inclined to think that it took in everything, inactivity at its peak. But tell me, do you wear a uniform when you function?
Yes.
You do. Are you in close proximity to some executive building there or governmental building?
Well, I would say that, and I think Mr. James might agree, that it's reasonable to suspect that he might be in some proximity to property, improved or otherwise, owned by the federal government, would you say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, Mr. James. Mr. James, this is your first appearance on this show, isn't it?
Yes.
And this is my first appearance on this show. And we can save an awful lot of time if you just tell me what you do. I pass.
You pass.
I sure do.
Miss Francis.
Are you associated with any branch of the armed services?
Yes.
Would it be the Army?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Sir.
Well, that gives me a rough idea that we may be circling around the Air Force.
Right.
You have
Yes.
something to do with the Air Force. Wasn't I a fool? I should have included that immediately. You wear a uniform. Is it the uniform of an enlisted man or officer in the Air Force?
Yes, it is the uniform of an enlisted
No,
man.
no, 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 no. That's it. Doing fine. Doing fine. Yes, it
Now,
is.
I have to guess. Well, judging by your intelligent approach, I hope you're an officer. Are you?
Yes.
Well, you're an officer in the Air Force.
Well, there are lots of officers in the Air Force, but now, this is true, you know, but
What do
does
you want
Mr.
now?
James
Do you want to know what officer he is?
Yeah, I even go so far as to tell you that this is Major James. Now, what does he do?
Have you got anything to do... Do you ever leave the ground in your job?
Yes.
Is that a regular part of your job?
Yes.
Do you then pilot some kind of craft?
Yes.
I
Well,
think that's Bennett. That's
Is it
about
jet?
as
Is
far
it a
as
jet? Or,
Jet is right. What's that Actually, to get the record straight, Major James is the commander of the 437th Fighter Interceptor Squadron that's based up here at Otis Field, right? And, by the way, he flew 101 combat missions in Korea. And I just hope that this wasn't as tough as that. Now, let's flip some cards. Thanks very much, Major. Glad to have you in. Well, panel, you made a very good beginning tonight, aided and abetted by Fred Allen, sitting there charging up and down the place. See what we can do with our second challenger. Would you sign in, please, sir? Benjamin Kenny? How are you? Benjamin Kenny. Where are you from, Mr. Kenny?
Richmond Hill, New York.
Richmond Hill, New York. Well, that's nice to have you here with us. Is Richmond Hill, is that on Staten Island, is it?
No, sir, it's on Long Island.
On Long Island. Well, I'll move. I'll pack and get out of town. I guess I've done it. Well, will you go over and let the panel get a look at you, too, please, sir?
Hello, Mr. Kenny.
Welcome to America, Mr. Kenny.
Sit down next to me. We give the panel one free guess as to what your line may be. Will you come in a little bit closer to your microphone? That's fine. Get the cards back here, and we'll start our free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think Mr. Kenny is a sympathetic bartender.
Mr. Allen.
I think Mr. Kenny is a truant officer with the Ding Dong School.
Miss Preston.
I think Mr. Kenny is a caddy.
Mr. Sir.
Well, judging by Mr. Kenny's beautiful handwriting, I think he sews names on those souvenir hats they sell on Broadway.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mr. Benjamin Kenny, and at the same time, we will tell them what his line is, but the panel has to dig. All right. Miss Kenny, you know how we score this thing? It's split. Huh? All right, Mr. Kenny is salaried. With that, let's begin the general questioning. Fred Allen.
Oh, John, frankly, I'm not very good at questions. If you ever see me with the answer man, you can watch us and he'll never open his mouth while he questions. But I will question, with my limitations, of course, question Mr. Kenny. Mr. Kenny, do you deal in services?
Yes.
Now is when I should quit. Do these services involve both of the sexes, or are you inclined to favor one sex with the service that you perform?
Hold everything. You want to ask one question there, Ed. Which one? You want to make the last question the right question or the first?
Oh, I wanted to get out early, John.
Is your question...
Well, do these services appeal more to women?
Yes.
They do. Well,
Wait a minute. The question was, do these services appeal
Well,
more...
of the two sexes, which sex do women avail themselves of Mr. Keeney's services more than men do?
Yes, I would say they do. Mm-hmm.
Well, having watched this show for so long and realizing that there was no reaction to what Mr. Kenny said, I assume that what you do involves women. Is that true?
Yes.
It is, in a vague way. You're sure you know what you do because you hesitated there for a little while. Well, in the process of accomplishing these services, do you change the women's appearance?
I would think, Fred, that you may disagree with me later on, but I think we'll have to give you a no on that. There is no substantive change in the woman's appearance as a result of his particular service.
Oh, I see.
If I gave you a yes, it would mislead you, and I know you wouldn't want me to mislead you, so we'll give you a no.
All right. Don't mislead me, whatever you do.
1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Mr. Kenny, do you touch these women in any way?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Sir.
Mr. Kenny, do these women come to you?
Yes.
Do you greet them in some kind of an office? No?
No. 3 down and 7 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Well, you don't mean to tell me that they come to you and you don't greet them?
Well, the question asked by Bennett was, do you greet them in some kind of an office? And to that, the answer was no.
Oh, well, then it was the office that was wrong, not the greeting.
Well, if you'd like to ask some questions.
All right, do you greet them, Mr. Kenny?
I didn't get it.
Do you greet them? Well, I'd say we
say-
might, in a manner of speaking, say that you do, yes. Wouldn't you think so? Yeah.
Well,
They know he's around.
Is your relationship with these women more stern than pleasurable?
No to that, Dorothy. 4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Allen.
Well, whatever Mr. Kenny does it improve the appearance of the women?
I would say that is a matter open to some debate.
Well, do you work on the women's faces?
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
Oh, I thought you said.
We have not
Last
substantiated whether there's a product involved in what Mr. Kenny does, have we?
I don't believe
Nobody's
the question.
asked?
No.
And so I'll ask it and make a big fool of myself. Is there a product in what you do, Mr. Kenny?
No.
There
That
isn't
makes
any.
it 6 down and 4 to go. I'm going to give you one more minute because you don't seem to be on the trail on this.
Mr. Kenny, would it just be possible that these charming ladies who come to you are in what is sometimes called an interesting condition?
Allen. 3 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Mr. Kenny, oh, excuse me, Fred.
No, I have
Do you
nothing.
want to?
I have nothing to say, and I'm ready to say at any moment here.
Mr. Kenny, do these ladies ever perform? Are they ever performers, the ones that you deal with?
No, I don't think so. I'm going to lower the boom.
Give me one chance. He's not a podiatrist or a chiropodist.
A podiatrist or chiropodist?
No.
No.
No, I just... Oh, I didn't know that.
Actually, you never got really close on it. Mr. Kenny operates a skirt-blowing machine. Mr. Kenny, where do you do this?
Mr.
At
Kenny
Rockaway's
ought to be ashamed
Playland,
of
Rockaway Beach, New York.
Rockaway's Playland, Rockaway Beach, New
Rockaway.
York.
How are things this year, Mr. Kenny?
How's the outlook?
Well, thank you very much,
Things
Mr.
are on
Kenny.
the
You will
rise.
win the full prize by default. Nice to have you in. And now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity. My friends on the panel have blindfolds for this particular part of the program. Are they all in place, panel?
Yes, yes.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? All right, panel. As you know, in the case of our mystery challenger, we get right down to the general questioning, which we will begin with Dorothy Kilgallen.
Are you in the entertainment world?
Yeah. Yep. Yuppie.
You're a fellow,
What?
You're a fellow.
a chap.
Yeah. Yep.
Have you ever appeared on television before?
Carpets.
Hmm? I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
Having a conference, Dorothy.
Oh, yes, well, yeah. Yeah.
But you're more famous for something other than television, is that correct?
Oh, no.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Allen.
Is that your regular voice, sir? Well, I thought if it was, I know it's Edgar Bergen. I mean, that isn't your regular voice. Are you in the motion pictures?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Portland couldn't come, and I can't come either, and, no.
Two down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Well, it can't be Fred Allen because he's right next to me.
I'm not so. I don't know where I am. I have a thing on my eyes here. I may be over there.
So that you are better known perhaps for television than you are in the picture world, correct?
Oh, yes.
Do you do a regular show on television?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Does that mean every day you do a show on television?
No.
Well, now, wait, when you mean every day, you mean the...
I mean
5
5 days a week,
5
Monday
days a
through
week.
Friday.
There are 7 days.
Yeah.
You do a show 5 days a week.
Do, yeah, do.
You do. Would you be considered a comedian?
When they laugh, yep, well, they don't know.
Now, that's a very good answer, actually, Miss Harley.
Are you a man of many voices?
Carpets. No.
3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Sir.
Would your program possibly have more appeal for the children of the family than their parents? Or is it aimed at them, I should say? Maybe
Good
the parents
evening,
like
ladies and gentlemen.
I would think yes to that, Bennett.
Oh, yeah.
I think one of my sons, or both of them, have had an opportunity to appear with you, if I'm not mistaken. Have you got a gallery for very young spectators?
Oh, we're dead, Buffalo Bob.
Good to see you.
Hello, dear.
Well, the panel's hotter than 15 pistols tonight. Let's see what they can do with a final challenger. Would you come in and sign in, please, ma'am? Rosanna Raymond, is that right? That's right. How are you? Is it Miss or Mrs.? Mrs. Raymond. Well, now, will you take a look at the panel? We're a little short of time, so you won't have to take that long hike. You just look at them, let them look at you, then you come with me, will you? Sit down right here, if you will, and we'll give the panel the one free guest they've got coming to them. We'll begin the free guesses with Miss Kilgallen.
I think she works for an airline.
Works for an airline. Mr. Allen.
I think that she's a popsicle inspector for the Good Humor Company.
Miss Francis.
I think she plays a musical instrument.
Mr. Sir.
I think Miss Rumman wrote that song, Rumman Coca-Cola.
No, I'm afraid not. We'll let our viewers have a further look at Mrs. Rosanna Raymond. At the same time, we'll tell them what her line is, but the panel's going to have to dig. All right. Miss Raymond is salaried. You know how we score this thing, don't you? Fine. We'll begin the general questioning then with Bennett, sir.
Miss Rumman, did I detect just the merest hint of a foreign accent in your voice?
No.
One down and 9 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
I mean, Bennett may have detected it, but it wasn't there.
Callan.
Is there a product involved in what you do?
No.
2 down and 8 to go, Mr. Allen.
Do you deal in services?
Yes.
That's fine. I had that one question left over from our other time. Do you work for a profit organization?
Yes.
You do? Do you work, whatever you do you deal with both sexes?
Yes.
These questions work on the other one, too, don't they? Except that they mix me up toward the end. Do you work in indoors?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. You work out of doors sometimes. You're in and out as that sort of a job, huh? Do you, when you deal with people, these services, do you put your hands on them?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss Francis.
Did you already ascertain whether it was a profit-making organization?
Yes,
It is.
it is profit.
Do you wear anything other than what you have on now in your job?
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Mr. Sir.
Miss Rumman, are you in any way connected with the entertainment industry?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Miss Kilgallen.
Do you make life better or happier for these people? You mean
Yes, I would say some of the people would be made happier. Some of the others might not feel as good about it.
I see. Then is there any decision that Mrs. Rumman makes that might make people unhappy in the course of her
Sometimes.
service? Are any documents or papers involved in what you do?
Yes.
But you work for a profit-making organization.
That's right.
Do bills have anything to do with it?
Yes.
Well, do you try to get people to pay their bills?
Yes.
Are you a bill collector?
Yes! That's remarkable. By golly. We thought we'd have you for sure on that. When I was sitting here convinced we had you, too.
You still
Nice
had
story.
me, even though it's answered.
Well, Miss Drummond, you did pretty well, though. We had them going for a while. We hope you enjoyed your visit. Had fun, because actually that's more than, I think, the number of cards we tip over.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for coming, and I hope you had a good visit on television. Good to see you. Thank you, and good night. And now, until next week, this is John Daly saying good night, Miss Dorothy.
And good night, Freddie. It was awfully nice having you with us.
Thank you, Dorothy. Good night, Steve. And good night, Arlene.
Good night, Fred, and good night, Bennett.
Drive carefully, John. Good night.
And again, thanks, Fred, for being with us. We've had a wonderful visit with you. Hope you enjoyed it. And thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line?
This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Todman production. In association with the CBS Television Network.